Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Microsoft Reactor event. Thank you all so much for being here. We are officially live from Dubai. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Of course, today I am joined by my colleague and obviously a very special guest who is Someleze. Someleze is joining us all the way from Africa. Hi, Someleze. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hi, Hadeel. I'm good, thanks. How are you? And thank you so much for having me.
Of course, Somalese. It's always a pleasure to have you, Somalese, and I'm doing wonderful as well. I'm very excited for this session, Somalese. I think, you and I have been talking back and forth about, doing something together, in the areas of AI and Power Platform. And I think we managed to do this session today. So I'm very excited for the audience to see what we have in store. Of course, this session is the first session of a two-part series that we have this week. So it's all about building an AI-powered content manager application. So if you're looking to, if you are trying to see how AI actually works in Power Platform or how AI and low code are kind of related together, this is the session for you. This is where you actually learn how you can actually build your own application using Azure OpenAI. We're going to be talking all about that. I don't want to kind of, ruin the kind of the let's say the highlight of the session. However, please let us know before we begin where you are joining us from. I do see a lots of live audience we have, so please let us know in the chat box where you're joining us from. And that being said, let's move on. So before we begin, of course, as you all know, this event is part of the Microsoft Reactor Code of Conduct. So of course, we are all here to learn. So let's make this a friendly environment as much as possible. Of course, Melissa and I will be talking throughout, this session. So make sure to ask as many questions as possible in the chat box and just be kind and be respectful. And that being said, let's move on to introducing myself. So my name is Hadeel Shubair, and I am a regional cloud advocate and data analytics engineer at Microsoft, specifically part of the Reactor team in Middle East and Africa. I am based in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, and I absolutely am very passionate about sharing knowledge and also learning all about new tech that's always out there. My areas of expertise lie around data science, AI, and I'm always all about exploring new tech and new kind of fields. I always love to talk about low code and no code, and this is where I will be connected today with my colleague Sumeleze, who will be kind of joining me in this session, and we will be kind of talking to you all about how to build your own application using low code and no code. If you want to connect with me, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me on my Twitter at Shubair3 and on LinkedIn, just like my name, Hadeel Shubair. That being said, once again, thank you all so much for joining us. Let us know in the comments where you're joining us from, and I'm going to leave it to Somaleze to introduce himself as well. Somaleze, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Hadeel. Hey, everyone. My name is Somele Zadigo. I am a cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I am based in Durban, South Africa. And I love building solutions using the Power Platform, Teams, and Microsoft Graph, and also Azure. And a little bit of that, we'll actually touch on it a little bit later today because now it actually brings together my favorite technologies. And just like Hadil, I love connecting with communities and just sharing knowledge and learning from others around what new technologies are they working on, what new projects, and obviously just showcasing them on the different communities that we actually have. So if you want to connect with me, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Digo Someleze and LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, it's just my name, which is Someleze Digo, and then you can just share what you potentially are working on, or obviously if you're looking for advice around, let's say you're starting out with the Power Platform, or you're starting out with building solutions using the Power Platform and Azure, then you can make sure to just reach out to me and I'll give you any advice around that and everything that I've learned along the way around the Power Platform and building solutions using it. And speaking about building solutions, today, we actually are focusing on the Content Manager series, just like Hadil had mentioned. And ideally, as much as we say it's more on the Content Manager series, the entire idea behind this is actually around having a scenario specific solution. So ideally, when you are starting out to learn a new technology, you want to learn about the ins and outs about that technology, and you also want to understand the base fundamentals of that technology. So what we did, Hadil and I actually just decided to center this entire knowledge around a specific scenario, which was a content manager. And we are having this series which focuses on working on a project that will showcase your new learning around Power Platform and AI within the Power Platform. So this project would actually leverage Power Apps and Power Automate. That's why it's a two-part series. But within that, we actually have a few technologies that we're going to use, most especially around AI, and we want to showcase how you can be able to use AI. So ideally, today we're building an AI-powered content manager app for marketing teams, and this can be ideally structured or fitted for your specific needs or scenarios. So it does not necessarily have to be for marketing teams and does not necessarily have to be a content manager. We just want to give you the base fundamentals of the Power Platform and AI. And then tomorrow we're going to boost the content manager process using Azure OpenAI service, and that will have a little bit of Power Automate in it. So make sure to join the session even tomorrow. Okay, before we can get started, make sure to register for the Cloud Skills Challenge that we have for the specific series, because what's a series without a Cloud Skills Challenge? And ideally, we have a gamified learning experience through the Cloud Skills Challenge. So you can go on the link, which is https:// aka.ms/AI powered content manager challenge, or you can scan the QR code that is on your screen, and then you can be able to start learning. The challenge ends on the 22nd of May. So I would like to see you guys joining the challenge and also getting started with your learning. Okay, without further ado, what are we here for today? So ideally, this first episode is just around this scenario of content management. And we live in a digital world today, and a lot of people release content on their different social medias and their different platforms that they're using. So even now, we're on YouTube and we are doing this content for you guys. And ideally, you would want to actually manage that entire content on one single place and plan out everything that you're actually doing. So we then decided how you can be able to build that solution that will actually help you manage your content and help you be more organized around um, building your content and dishing it out there. So ideally, the first episode is just really around building an app for marketing teams, and this can be applied in big companies or any company that you know would need a content manager app that would then manage all of their content that they have. With that said, how can we actually build this? What kinds of technologies can we use to build this application for content management? So, my personal favorite is the Power Platform, and a lot of people know me for the Power Platform, and I love talking about it almost all the time. And ideally, that's the first technology we're going to use. We're going to use the Power Platform to build the solution. And for those who don't know what the Power Platform is, it's a low code, no code platform that enables people to build solutions without having any technical background. And it has 5 products. The first product will be Power Pages for website development, Power Apps for mobile application development, which we will use, Power Automate for workflow automation, which we will use again in the series, Power BI for business analytics, Power Virtual Agents for intelligent virtual agents or chatbots. And then ideally, you can be able to drag and drop any kinds of controls if you're building an application. So, for an example, if you're building a Power App, you can be able to just drag and drop the controls for your app without having to write extensive code in the backend. And you can be able to use Excel like formulas for functionality. And this is what we actually call Power FX within the Power Platform. That is the language that we actually use within the Power Platform to build the solutions and add some logic. And then you can have pre-built system integrations through connectors. So rising developers and people who already have technical experience and they want to extend their skills, that their traditional developer skills that they already have, they can use connectors within the Power Platform, and even people who do not have a technical experience. and obviously professional development and extensibility across all Microsoft products through the Power Platform. So that is the base idea of the Power Platform, and it also has an extension of AI through AI Builder, and that's something we're going to be exploring today. Right, that's it. That's about the Power Platform. But let's talk about the partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI. And as we all know, Microsoft and OpenAI have actually partnered around building AI models to actually enhance the technologies that we have. And ideally, this formed partnership is on collaborating on artificial intelligence technologies, and the partnership aims to accelerate the development of advanced AI systems and bring benefits of AI to more people, people who do not have the technical expertise to actually build their own AI models and build them from scratch and try to consume them in their different technologies and their different solutions that they are trying to build. And throughout this partnership, we actually have three different AI models that are being utilized in different technologies. We have GPT-3, Codex, and .e. GPT-3, you can generate and understand text. Codex, it generates and it understands code. And DALL-E, it generates images from text prompts. So ideally, you would use this for any solution that you're going to be consuming these models in. Right. Let's explore those models a little bit further. With GPT-3, it's actually for text completion, and it's a set of models that can understand and generate natural language, whereas Codex is a set of models that can actually generate and understand code. So, for an example, if you are a non-technical person and you are ideally trying to write a LinkedIn post, which is something that I actually use. I use ChatGPT 3 to write one of my LinkedIn posts there, and you can just utilize ChatGPT 3 or GPT-3 to generate that text for you. And then when it comes to Codex, developers out there who want to generate and understand the code that they're writing, they can use Codex for that. And then with Dolly, you can be able to use the set of models that can generate and or manipulate images from natural language. So we understand the partnership with Microsoft and OpenAI around generative AI and the three different models. But the question is, how does this fit within the Power Platform? How does this fit with everything that we're trying to do today? So I want to take you a little bit back around the AI innovation within the Power Platform. From 2019, we were introduced to AI Builder to bring AI to the Power Platform. Then in 2020, it evolved in having Power Apps with natural language using Power FX formula. So in that case, you can be able to just write your commands within your Power App by just writing your English words. And then Power BI had a similar situation, which is natural language to Dex Quick Create. And then within 2022, we saw a further evolution within the Power Platform where Power Automate had natural language to Flow, where you would be able to build your own flow by just describing it to design it. And then you could format your data by examples using your natural language. And then Power Apps then decided to evolve a little bit further where you had the image and Figma to an app features where you can be able to build your app from an image, and also you can build your app from a Figma design. And then in 2023, that's where a lot of magic happened. Power Virtual Agents also got its enhancements around AI, where we had conversation boosters, and then we were introduced to AI Builder now within the entire Power Platform space with Azure OpenAI models that has templates, maybe something that you're going to be seeing during the series. And then again, 10 days later, there was another advancements within AI with Power Platform, where you would have Power Virtual Agents with natural language to bot, where you would then write or describe your chatbot in words, and then Power Virtual Agents would then create your chatbot just like that. And then even similar with Power Apps, you would then have natural language to an app using Copilot. We call it Power Apps Copilot. and you would have your app in minutes. Then we had a PVA or Power Virtual Agents integration within Power Apps and AI analytics. And then within, last but not least, Power Automate enhances the natural language to flow using Power Automate Copilot. So those were the advancements with AI within the Power Platform. But ideally, you hear me talking about all of those advancements and the partnership between OpenAI and Microsoft, and you're wondering to yourself, what does this have to do with the session that we are having today? I'm glad that you're actually asking yourself that. But before we can actually dive into deep around that, we need to consider a few things. We are building a solution, and the solution is around a specific scenario. During development, even well-versed developers can understand this, that you would have few different considerations around front end, middleware, and back end. Your front end is where everyone is interacting with your solution. Your middleware is when you are automating specific business processes in the back end or in the middleware through approval processes or notifications, etc. Then the back end is when your data is being stored. And that's something we're going to be exploring during this session. How then do we do and build our front end for our solution? We use Microsoft Power Apps. And again, like I mentioned, you can build your apps without writing any code using Power Apps. And ideally, it's open for everyone from your traditional developers to your students to your rising developers who can utilize Power Apps to build these apps. And that's what we're going to be using today. And what you see on the screen is actually the interface within Power Apps, where you have a few dashboards for a model-driven app, and some of the apps that you see on the screen also are Canvas apps, and we're going to be building a Canvas app. Then, how does AI fit into the Power Platform? You remember the advancements that I spoke about? We actually have something called Power Apps Copilot, which is still in preview. Again, you can build apps through your conversation. You can just simply describe the app that you want to build, and AI will design it for you. And you can have an in app guidance using natural language processing to help you build your app. And then the AI assistant is available from Power Apps home screen so that you can be able to just quickly create your application. So again, this capability is still in gated preview. We will share links on how you can be able to apply or to apply for the trial and use this specific feature within the Power Platform. But it doesn't stop there. Once you have your Canvas app, you can ideally ask yourself, okay, I'm getting started with Power Apps, but ideally, I do not know how to write the formulas that you would find or the functions that you would find within Power Apps. And that's where Power Apps Ideas comes into place, because Power Apps Ideas allows you or enables you to write Power FX formulas just with natural language or examples. So you would then give it a prompt and speak about what you want to do with the data within your app. And then ideas would enable the AI powered assistants to help you as a maker to create an app using natural language and automatically suggest ideas for supported controls, such as a gallery where you are able to list all of your data within your data source, a data table, and a text box. And then you can enter your requirements in plain natural language, and Power Apps will just transform your requirements into a Power FX formula, just like you see on the screen right now in this small animation that we have. So this is generally available for everyone to actually play around with. And I would actually like to urge you that if you've tried this within Power Apps, put it in the comments and actually just share with us on the chat on your experience with it and what you think around Power Apps ideas and how you can be able to generate the Power FX formulas from natural language. Okay, I've said a lot, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to see some action and you want to see how we can actually build this application that I am constantly talking about and bring in AI within the Power Platform, AI within Power Apps. So here's how we can do this. I'm just gonna quickly switch over to my browser, and then we will start building our app, our content manager app powered by AI. So I'm going to go on make.powerapps.com and I'm going to go to the home screen. I don't need to go to create. So the first thing that I normally do when it comes to Power Apps is that I just quickly rush to click on the blank app to create my application. Whereas it will just give me a canvas to build my app, and then ideally I will control everything that I want to happen within the app. But ideally today, that's not what I want to do. I actually want to showcase the AI within the Power Platform. But before we can do that, for those who haven't explored Power Apps, is that you can build your application from blank. You can build your application from your data sources. So your data sources would be either Dataverse, SharePoint, Excel, SQL Server, and the image and the Figma features that we touched on a little bit on our slides. But today, we want to actually build it using AI. So I'm just going to have to put in a prompt here because I have um, I have the rights to actually use this feature. And then I'm going to say create um, create an app for blog information. Hopefully that's the proper prompt to give to Power Apps Copilot, and then it'll start to generate ideas on how to actually build this application. And what I love about Power Apps Copilot is that once you hit enter after you've entered your prompt using your natural language, it will then try to build a table for you. So for an example, we already have a table that is called blog information, and this was generated by our AI, Power Apps Copilot. We didn't have to go through and go to Dataverse and click on tables and start creating our own custom table. When you just put in your prompt, Power Apps Copilot knows what to do. It will then create the table for you. And then before you can proceed building your app, you have to check off, is that your desired table? Is that how you want to store your data? So for an example, I have a few columns for my table. I have the title, author, date, and content. And then ideally, if I wanted to have an additional column, for an example, or additional columns, you would think that I would feel limited because this has been created for me. But on the right hand side of the screen, if you can see properly, is that it will actually ask you for a prompt on what you want to change, or you can describe what you want to change on the app. So, for an example, if you want to add the description column, and then press enter, it will then try to add the column onto your table before you can be able to proceed to create the application. And then this is what I love because you can be able to manipulate everything that you want to manipulate on your data source or your table that you have within Dataverse. And then afterwards, once you're happy, you can be able to create your application. Ideally, you still have the option of going to Dataverse at a later stage and changing your data schema, but ideally, Power Apps Copilot has a nicer or a much more better experience where you can be able to change it whilst you're still developing, right? So I'm just going to scroll towards the side and you can see that the description column has been added to my table. And that's how Copilot and that's how the magic of Copilot within Power Apps actually works. So now I'm happy with this table. I'm just gonna click on create, and then it'll create the application for us. Using Power Apps Copilot, and then we can be able to make changes as much as we want. And then ideally at the end, we can be able to bring in more custom changes in terms of either we want to add more connectors or want to add more data sources and all of those things. And also what I love is that it also takes positive advantage of the controls that are within Power Apps, which were announced, I think, a few weeks ago around modern controls, and it just builds the application so you don't have to say, oh no, it's just the standard Power Apps that I would then have at the end of the day without having the modern controls. one thing to note with creating your application using Power Apps Copilot, in which it has been my experience, is that it'll create your application on a landscape. So I'm just going to click on skip. It'll put it on a landscape format, which is like a tablet format and not your mobile application. So ideally, when you create your applications, you will just have this format. But how cool is it to actually see an application built for you? It has all the screen, or it has one screen that you're going to take a positive advantage of. It shows all of your data, for an example, that is stored within your data source. And then it shows data about each specific record within the same screen. And ideally, you can be able to make changes as how you see fit on your application. Okay, let's make a few changes, right? Because this is just ideally your stock application you're given by Copilot. Now you're going to make your own custom changes. For an example, this list of blogs that is within the gallery on my application, I'm just going to try to zoom in so that you can be able to see. This list of blogs that are showing here, you don't want everyone within a company, or you don't want everyone within a team to see what another person is writing about, right? Only the admin, or for an example, only the admin or the content manager who's actually responsible for the entire content of the entire organization can see it, approve it, and be good with it, right? So how do you then bring in that security sense of, if, for an example, if we're part of a team and maybe I feel the imposter syndrome of, I want to write a blog about something, but then it'll be seen by the entire team, and maybe it'll make me a bit hesitant to actually add or sign up to actually put up my own content within the company or within the team. Then how do you tackle that within a company? So you then would bring in a security feature, for an example, of trying to showcase all of these details based off of the signed in user, which is something that I normally do almost on all of the Power Apps that I actually build. So how do you do that? So in this case, right, instead of, for an example, you see that the items that are showing here are just showing the title of the blog, the author, and showing the date. And we can ideally take positive advantage of the author column, or before building the application, maybe we could have added like an extra column, which is author email. But because we have author name, we'll just take positive advantage of that. So how we're going to do this is this. The first step is we need to get who is currently signed in on the application. So we're going to go to on our tree view where you see all of the screens. I'm going to click on app. Then I'm going to go to the properties of the app, and then I'll click on start, and there's nothing there. And then I'm gonna write my own Power FX formula that I normally use almost all the time, and this is allowing me to actually get the signed in user, and I will store the signed in user within a variable. So this is how you declare a variable within Power Apps using Power FX. Use the set function. You give your variable a name. So I'm going to say var user, and then you use the user function within Power Apps to get all of the signed in users details, and then you close the round bracket at the end there. Right. But now currently var user is actually empty. There's nothing stored within our variable. Why? Because our app has not run on start. So how can we actually do that? I'm just gonna click on the three dots next to the app, and then I'm gonna click on run on start. And then once that's run, I'm gonna go back and highlight this to check on our var user variable. Now you can see that all of the details about me, the signed in user, are stored within this variable. Okay, that's great. Now, the second step is to actually go filter the entire gallery of our screen. So if I go to the left-hand side of the screen and I go to the properties of my main screen, I'm going to look for the gallery. So I have records gallery. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go to the formula bar where you have items. Within items, I don't want to use what's already there, because ideally Power Apps Copilot put that formula so that whenever you want to search for a specific blog, you can be able to find it. But I just want to have a very simple Power FX formula so that I can just be able to filter out on who is the signed in user. Right. So I'm gonna delete that, and then I'm gonna use what you call the filter function. You can already see that Power Apps is actually screaming at you because you removed everything, and most of the controls within your screen or within your Power App screens um, are referencing what was on that Power FX formula. So to do that and solve it, I'm going to use the filter function because I want to filter based off of the author. And then I need to provide the source. So I'm filtering a source, which is my data source. The name of my data source is blog information, and then I'll put a comma. Then I have to put some logic or a logical test or a condition. So within here, I want to say author. I'm going to pull in the author column, and then I'll say is equal to var user dot either email, full name, or image. So right now you can either use email or full name, but now the question would come when you come with those kinds of business requirements on what do you do then when you have three people within the same team have the same name? So they will each see each other's records within this specific application, and then potentially they might end up editing that information. So you don't want that to happen. So instead of saying full name, I'll say email, and then I'm gonna close this off, right? And then Power Apps is no longer screaming at me. Okay, let's take it a little bit back. So Meleza, you are using the author column, which stores the author's name, and then you are equating it to the var users dot email or the signed end user's email. Again, like I mentioned earlier on, through the first step of building our apps using Power Apps Copilot, in our description of adding in columns, we may have wanted to add in, let's say for an example, author email using that step that I was showing you the same way we added the description. Or in this case, you just try to update the information that's on the author column to not take in the author's name, but to just put in the author's email. So I'm going with the second option, but ideally, this is not how it's supposed to be. So I'm giving you homework to try and have a table that will have the blog title, the blog description, the published date, and the author name and the author email, so that you can be able to utilize the author email column and equate it to the signed in user's email. So just to clarify on that part, right? Because now within my data source, there is no author that has the current signed end user's email as an author. So you will see that the records are empty, right? I cannot see anything. So what we're gonna do now is to try to play the application and preview it. Hopefully you can be able to see. And then I'm gonna click on new record. Right off the bat, this already works, right? This already works because Power Apps Copilot set it up for us. We have all of our formulas working properly, and obviously the new formulas that we added in as we made changes within the application. Again, you don't have to set up the different formulas. Like for an example, if you have to click on the new record, you don't have to set it up yourself because Power Apps Copilot has already set it. And when you save the data, Power Apps Copilot has already set that specific formula for you, or Power FX formula for you. Right. So the title of my blog would be um, Build an AI powered content manager app with Power Apps Copilot, right? And then on the author, I forgot my email, so I need to get my email properly. Uh, I'll put in the email of the signed in user and I'll say 12j55s dot on Microsoft.com. So this is my developer account, so that's why that email looks like that, right? And then I'm going to choose a date that I potentially want this blog to go out on. So I'm just going to choose Wednesday on the 10th, and then I'm going to click OK. I'm not going to set the time. And then for content, I can say content around the gated preview of Power Apps Copilot, right? And then the description could be the same. And then we just put it in, and then we save our information. Once you save that information, you can actually see now that I can see some records because it belongs to me as the signed in user. I cannot see other people's records that they already added in. Right, okay. That's how you can be able to filter and change a few things within your generated app using Power Apps Copilot. Now, the next step is to see how we can be able to use Power Apps ideas for certain things, right? I'm just going to close the preview of the app and then go back to the canvas and see how we can edit this information that is being displayed here, right? So what we know about Power Apps Ideas is that Power Apps Ideas supports specific controls, mainly the gallery and a data table and text boxes. But the text box needs to be on a gallery for you to be able to use Power Apps Ideas, right? So for an example, I see that published date is actually showing the month. I'm in South Africa, so normally um, our our time is normally firstly the date and then the month and then the year. So how can we be able to make it fit for my country's time zone or my country's time format? So I'm gonna change the time here. I'm gonna click on the text box here, but again, if you can't click on the screen or on the canvas, you can always use the tree view and find the gallery and then find the different controls or the different labels that are there. You can see that I'm clicking on the different things that are on the screen. So I'm going to click on body, and body has this item dot date, meaning it's getting the date of that specific blog that I have. Right. Okay, I don't want it to look like that. I want it to be a friendly format, for an example, or a South African format. So what I will do is click on that drop down next to that purple icon that we have. So you have two options. You have conditional formatting to use for Power Apps ideas, or you have text formatting. So I'm going to choose text formatting because we want to format the text that is being displayed on that label. So I'm going to click on text formatting because I don't ideally necessarily know how to um, I don't know how to utilize PowerFX formulas to show a friendly format, for an example, or to show a South African format. So let's try the South African format first. So what I want is I want to showcase uh, the date, which is the 10th, and then I want to showcase the month, which is May, and then I want to showcase the year, right? And then I'm gonna click on enter, and then it will suggest a Power FX formula for me to format that specific control. So if I click on this, I can either copy it or click on it, and then at the end, at the bottom there, I can click on apply. So let's click on apply and see. And then the expression has been applied to body one. So if I close this and look at our control, let me play our app. You can see that now the format has changed. It changed from showing the month first, then the date, and then the year, to showing the date, then the month, and the year at the end. What about you wanting to showcase a friendly format in terms of I want to showcase the day of that specific date and then potentially the year? You can do a similar thing. So, how do you do that? I'm going to click on the same control again, click on the purple icon for Power Apps Ideas, click on text formatting, and then just specify your desired format. And then our desired format is Thursday, October 5th, 2023. That's an example of a friendly format that you would ideally want to use, right? So I click on that, and then Power Apps Ideas then generates a Power FX formulas for us to be able to utilize. Then I click on it, and then I hit apply, and then what you will see now, it says Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. So that's our friendly formatted um, date that we're going to have for our blog that we want to publish. Right. So basically, that's ideally one of the few things that you can do with Power Apps Ideas, because you want to introduce AI to the Power Platform, and it does use AI to within the Power Platform so that you can be able to generate those Power FX formulas. And I know a lot of the time when I was starting out with the Power Platform and learning how to build apps using Power Apps, I didn't understand um, I didn't understand how to use the Power FX formulas within Power Apps. And then what I see now with with the Power Apps ideas, you can then be able to understand what you're trying to do. So like how we did now, we wanted to have a desired format of a friendly formatted date, which is Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. Then the generated formula, you can see now, Power FX formula obviously gives us that format that we want. And then you can start to understand that, oh, this is how you write the Power FX formula to make a friendly format date. And then ideally, if you want to do other stuff using Power FX ideas. So if you want to add conditional formatting, in this case, ideally might not necessarily apply it might not necessarily apply because we had updated our filter function or our search function for all of the items within the gallery. But if we did have it as it is, for an example, if we still had that formula, whatever was being inputted here, for an example, on the search bar, then it will then be either something that is being reflected on our gallery. So, for an example, if I click on build an AI powered content as our title, and then I say conditional formatting, and then it'll give us for an example, it'll give us an example of, okay, if it's not search input one dot text is equal to a dummy text which is defined, then don't show anything or do something else. And ideally, it will just either show true or false. So you can do so many things with Power Apps ideas, and all of those things. And that is how you can be able to use AI within the Power Platform. And another thing to note as I play this app again is that you can see how well designed your application is. You can see how you have your header and you have like normal spacing and you have a great front end for your application. So, on our solution consideration, what we just did is that we built our front end and we built our back end. Oh, no, 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 I'm playing. Power Apps Copilot did this for us. It built our front end and then it built our back end. Front end where we interact with our data, and then back end where we store our information. Because ideally, we didn't even go and create the table. Power Apps Copilot, sorry, built the table for us. And ideally, what it then does when it builds the app is that it uses containers within Power Apps. And what I want to do with containers is to give you guys homework to search up or look up what are containers within the Power Platform or within Power Apps. What are they used for? A little hint is that you can be able to control control what happens on your interface using your containers within your app. But all of the other information, I assign it to you as homework so that you can be able to understand in depth on what containers are used for and how Power Apps Copilot ended up achieving a nice user interface or a nice front end looking app like this using containers. So that's my homework to you guys, apart from the Cloud Skills Challenge that we actually have. Ideally, that's it. The only thing that we need to do now, because we need this application for the next session, we're going to be using it for the next session, which is tomorrow. We need to save it. Each and every single time, whenever you build apps using the Power Platform or using Power Apps, you need to save your work. And then ideally, at the end of the day, you would need to be utilizing it again. Right. Ideally, that's just it on how you can build an app and bring in AI within Power Apps and use Power Apps ideas and ideally use Power Apps Copilot. And again, just to mention the Power Apps Copilot, it's under gated preview. So if you go and try it on your developer account currently, you may not be able to access it or utilize it. But ideally, we can share a link for you guys to sign up for getting that gated preview, and then you can be able to access Power Apps Copilot so that you can be able to utilize it within your solutions that you are building. Yeah, that's it. That's how you build the app. And here are a few resources that I think would be useful for you guys. So you can complete your learnings with the Intro to Azure OpenAI service. And the reason why I want this for you guys is that this will help you have much more knowledge on what we're going to be doing tomorrow on the next session around Power Automate and Azure OpenAI, and look up Power Automate expressions. It's similar to Power FX. Enable users with key AI use cases. You can be able to look at the different AI use cases that you can be able to utilize using the Azure OpenAI service. And then the last thing is make sure that you're registered for the Cloud Skills Challenge that we have for the series. Go to the link on the screen, or you can scan the QR code that is on the screen as well, so that you can be able to get ahead, learn about Azure OpenAI and how to use AI within the Power Platform, and some of the resources actually that I just shared with you are part of the Cloud Skills Challenge. Other than that, Hadil, I just want to know, do you have any questions from the chat that we can go through?
Yes, we do. Thank you first, Malaysia, for the lightweight, lovely explanation on this session. I think obviously we've had lots of questions flying in the chat box, so I'm just gonna kind of take a few just to ask you before we end the session. So someone asked, "Is Power Apps a paid feature? I don't know if I can sign up with a personal account."
Okay, that's a very great question, actually. So, again, from what you saw when I was going through the demo, I was using my developer account. So, you can either sign up for the Power Apps developer plan so that you can be able to get a free developer account that you can utilize and explore Power Platform, or you can sign up for the M365 developer program that will also give you a developer account so that you can be able to play around with the Power Platform, because ideally it is a paid feature, but people can be able to explore with it in terms of just developing to either understand or to just learn about the Power Platform, so that at the end of the day, they can either decide whether or not they want to use it within their organizations or within their companies. I'll share the link with you quickly on the chat.
Perfect. Yes, we hope that answers your question. And while you do that, Somalia, we have actually another question that I'm going to ask you. So this is from Arius. Thank you, Arius, for your question. So the question is, Somalia, in your experience, what are the reasons why we use AI in managing content instead of manually updating from your CM application?
Great question.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to the series that we're doing and trying to utilize AI in that, we're actually trying to enable you to do more with less. So ideally, you can be able to have your AI to generate your content. Ideally, at the end of the day, you would need to review it because obviously you want to have responsible AI, and then ideally focus on things that already matter. So, for an example, if you have that AI powered app that we just built using AI, you are building an app using Power Apps Copilot. It was a very seamless, quick way to build the app, and then we can be able to make or edit any other features that we needed within the application. And then ideally, after that, after building an application like that using Power Apps Copilot, you will then be able to focus on other things like stuff like your business requirements, your logic that goes um, into your content manager application. Ideally, because we live in a digital world and everyone is using online services these days, you want to have your content stored in a specific place, and you want your content to have a much more guided way because AI uses models that it was trained based on to actually generate a few of the text that you could utilize within your content. And then, ideally, just to stress responsible AI, you will then be able to review it. And then, afterwards, you will then either publish it or you will then not publish it and make a few edits. And then, afterwards, you can be able to publish it.
Yeah, I think you've made it like very clear, and I hope we hope Ariane that answers your question. Thank you so much for sending the question. So Malaysia, this is actually a question from my point of view. So obviously, I'm very curious about AI and everything that has to do with the AI world and data and all that stuff. So from your Yani, from your experience, are developers limited to the AI models that are already existing on the Power Platform with Azure OpenAI service? And how can we create our own and consume them in the Power Platform? I would love to know.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Hadil. So the short answer is no. Developers are not necessarily limited to the AI models with Azure OpenAI service. So, for an example, if a developer wants to develop or build their own AI model from scratch, and then they want to consume it within a Power Platform solution, um, either it's Power Apps or Power Automate, you can then further build a custom connector within the Power Platform so that you can be able to communicate between your app or your solution and your AI model. So it's similar to how you can make API calls using the custom connector within the Power Platform. So you are not limited as a developer to use the AI models that are within the Power Platform. If they do not meet your requirements and you want a much more extensive AI model that you have already built, you can ideally be able to consume it by building a custom connector within the Power Platform, and then you can be able to consume it.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good. And I think one last question really comes to mind. And this is for all, students who are only getting started or developers who are looking to explore Power Apps and the Power Platform even more. What is the best way, in your opinion, Malaysia, and from your experience in this kind of field, what is the best way for people to get started with using Power Apps Copilot?
Yeah. So again, great question, Hadil. So, for people who want to get started with Power Apps Copilot, like I mentioned during the session, you would need to fill the form of having access to the gated preview of the Power Apps Copilot. It doesn't necessarily just only comes with Power Apps Copilot, it also comes with the AI Builder model from Azure OpenAI service that you can then be able to consume within either Power Apps or Power Automate. So again, I will share the link to the form so that people can be able to apply and sign up for that. But the normal process for you to be able to use Power Apps Copilot is to just fill in that form and then request to have that preview.
Wonderful. That sounds good. I think otherwise we are just kind of sharing the links in the chat box for obviously the Cloud Skill Challenge and the Learn modules that we have for you all. These are very useful resources that are actually kind of related to the series, so we would highly recommend for you to check them out and really scan the QR code you have on screen in front of you and join the challenge. We have put in the link for the challenge, which is aka.ms/ai-powered-content-manager-challenge. It's a very useful one. You're gonna absolutely love it. Many useful resources that will really help you get started in learning and continuing your learning journey in this series. So we would highly recommend for you to join today, join now, because it actually shows us who's joining and who's completed the learn modules and all that stuff. So that would be actually absolutely amazing and very useful for you personally to continue your learning journey. I think that being said, so Melissa, I think we're done for today, except maybe you can maybe share the links that you have with us. Otherwise, I think we are good to go for today.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I just shared a
Yep.
few links on the chat,
Yes.
but ideally those are the links for people for that first question that we had around how can you be able to use Power Apps as much as it's a paid feature. How can you be able to utilize it? So you can sign up for the Power Apps developer plan or the M365 developer program so that you can be able to have your own developer account. So I just want to quickly mention before anything else, we have the next session tomorrow, which is build an AI powered content manager app, 2 out of 2. So we are just boosting the content manager process using Power Automate and Azure OpenAI service. So in this case, we are taking positive advantage of the Azure OpenAI service and AI Builder, the new model within AI Builder, so that you can be able to see now how you can be able to generate a blog out of just giving a title from the app that we built today and just passing it to Power Automate, and then ideally being able to generate a blog out of that and reviewing it, and then afterwards assigning a task to you to be able to review it, edit it, make a few changes, and then publish your blog. But all of that will be covered tomorrow. I don't want to spoil a lot of things, but you'll be able to see what we're going to be doing with Azure OpenAI service tomorrow and Power Automate.
Awesome, Sumaze. Thank you so much for your time and for showing us all cool things about how to build an AI powered content manager application. It's actually not really hard and it's beautiful the merge of AI, the AI world, and obviously low code and no code. So, when you merge these two things together, you do create such amazing things, anything you can think of from any kind of AI, intelligent solutions and applications and much more. So I would definitely recommend for everyone to join us in the next session, which is tomorrow, 9th of May. Also, it's at the same time, so it's at 3 p.m. Dubai time. So convert it to your local time zone and make sure to watch as we continue learning and building on our application that we've already built. That being said, thank you all so much for joining us. So, Malaysia, we've had a great audience. I don't know if you've seen the chat, but it's been flying. We've had many people from London, from Sweden, from Dubai as well. We've had lots of people from Madrid. There were many from Finland. We've had a kind of world audience, so it's actually absolutely exciting to see that we have many people joining us. And we, of course, look forward to having all of you again tomorrow in the session. Make sure not to miss it. So thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much, Leze, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as well.
Thank you so much, Adil, and thank you so much to everyone. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as we progress this entire series through Azure OpenAI service and consuming it within Power Automate. Trust me, you don't want to miss this part. It's very, very cool. See you
Yes.
tomorrow, guys.
See you. Goodbye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.